Hello, Scribblers. I'm Katie, the founder and CEO of the Scribblers Den, your online source for writing craft courses and writing community. We're so glad that you've joined us for yet another interview. Tonight, we have the staff from Baubles from Bones, a quarterly zine published out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in case you're not sure where Pittsburgh is. Baubles from Bones is dedicated to uplifting the voices of aspiring fantasy and sci-fi authors. I really love the description that you guys had on your website for your zine, so I'm just going to read right from it because I thought it was fantastic. Our stories exist in the same space as the lost coins and hair ties that fall between couch cushions, as spent plasma cells and lost cat bells, faded pictures, torn robes, old Halloween masks, evidence of the small lives we lead and the dreams we glean from them. That's just so perfect. Like, kudos. Like, however you guys came up with that, it's perfect. So we have Shane Gallagher, Elise Leskovich, Joel Troutman, and off screen is Carolyn Ritzert. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, hi, Carolyn.
I'm here.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with the audience before we jump right into some questions?
We're excited to be here.
Yeah. Just happy to be here and
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. So I met two of you at the Lit Youngstown Festival, which happens in Youngstown, Ohio. It's the Fall Lit Fest. It's fantastic. And they were also like they had a table there and we chatted. I bought a zine. Okay, wait, before I even get into this, zine or zine?
Zine.
We say zine.
Yeah.
Okay. I struggle with that because I see it and I'm like, that's not what it is.
Yeah.
But I get that it's short for magazine. So if I mess up, just know that it's my phonetics training kicking in.
Fine. You are not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that 1980s hooked on phonics did me in. All right. So with that introduction, that actually segues into our first question really well, which is I'm not very familiar with zines. So can you kind of start with a little bit of an explanation about what a zine is and where they exist within the writing and publishing space?
So the zines are more like DIY, kind of like underground as far as like publications go. Um, Pittsburgh has like a really cool zine fest that we are part of this year, and most of the people there are just like individual artists or like small collectives that just make little like comics or silly things. I got some zines that were just like pictures of chairs, and I thought that that was great. There are
Like
other ones that are like
drawn
very
or photographs or both.
both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I want one. So thank you for
Yeah.
telling me what I can't have.
Exactly. You get like a lot of political ones as well, just kind of like anything that you can communicate in just like a single sheet of paper that's been folded up a bunch of times. And we decided to call ourselves a zine because we felt like we were kind of that indie underground sort of vibe. As we've kind of grown and found our footing, we've kind of questioned whether zine fits us anymore. As we're like, maybe we are more of a magazine after all, but it's how we first sought to identify ourselves.
Yeah. And I think it's really reflective, though, it comes from a place of how homegrown we are. Like, we do so much by our own hands with this project, and like the illustrations that Joel and I make and all of the work behind it. A lot of our Patreons are family members and friends that just support our project. So to really start fresh out of the gate and call ourselves a full-blown magazine, I think was kind of intimidating. Some people call us an anthology now because when they get the physical book in their hand, they're like, wait, no, it's actually a book. And we're like, yeah, what'd you think we were doing? So I agree with Joel that like we're still trying to figure out sort of where in that space we land. But I think it is most indicative of like all the work that we do and the support that we have from our authors and in our community. So,
and I think that's really cool too, because I think that's so, I don't know, I just really like the searching for the identity piece. And I think that's an important part of what your stories and some of those things do. It's like who am I and who am I today and who am I going to grow to be and where did I come from? And so I feel like your entire business model really fits around that, which is neat. Like a through theme.
Yeah, I think, I mean, from our inception, that was like kind of like as a business, what we wanted to do was like show like the growth of like aspiring authors and poets. And like it just so happens that like a lot of our stories like kind of reflect the same like growth and like soul searching that like we want to help people like discover themselves and have other people like see them also. So it's just something that like we uninherently stumbled into.
It really fits with the genre too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stumbled into it, but I think it also is a product of how transparent we are, because we also are just three young people trying to find ourselves, four young people trying to find ourselves and figure out what we want to do with the rest of our lives, where our art fits into it, into whatever world, and where we fit wherever we are, and everything's constantly changing. So anything that is reflective.
Oh yeah, it's a whole motif. Like you guys you're living it. It's great. It's very thorough. It's very thorough.
We're just doing our best. That's all. It might sound like a motif, but genuinely, we are just trying.
No, but that's really, I think that's such a big thing, is that you just said, I want to do this, and then you made it happen. Which segues into our next question, was like, what's your story? Like, how did you just like no, like how did you guys meet and how did you decide we're going to make a zine? And then also you get the third part of that question, because I need to know the deep lore on how you came up with your name, Baubles from Bones, because I absolutely love it. Like it speaks to my very soul. I think it's beautiful. So I want to know why and how.
That makes me so happy. Because it was one of those titles that we were like, oh my gosh, is this too much? Are we like,
it's perfect. It's just so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's poetic.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how did we meet?
I've already stumped you guys.
I met the guys via Caroline. Because Caroline and I actually went to Point Park University together. We lived together for 3 years, and then Caroline, in all of those years, has been dating Joel. So then Joel and I became really good friends. And we actually were roommates at one point. And Shane has known these guys since high school. So it all just kind of came together. Joel went to school for writing, as I did. Shane went for audio design.
Yeah.
And so we've all been on these like different creative paths, and I'll never forget the day that I came home from work and I literally just walked through the door and I was taking off my shoes, and these two just look at me and Joel says, "Hey, you want to start a magazine?" I was like, "What?" And he said, "I'm serious." And I said, "Okay." And honestly, we
just like on a whim.
About it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And prior to her walking in, I was napping on one of their chairs and I wake up and Joel just looks at me as I'm waking up and he's like, "You want to start a magazine?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty much it, because I just talking about like school and stuff, I had just graduated from Pitt that spring and was applying to jobs, trying to like find some sort of footing in like publishing, selling books, just like anything related to writing and stories. And I don't know if you know this, but the job market's kind of rough. And
Yes.
like couldn't find anything, and like was just working at a grocery store, and still am working at a grocery store. And I was like, what can I do in my free time? It's like I can publish stories, and I have friends that are also interested in the same things. We like talking about like fantasy and sci-fi stuff together. It's like, is this a thing you want to do? Can we do this? Do you want to just go for it? And that was basically it.
Yeah. And then we roped Caroline into it because we needed help with our social media, and
none of us like making the Instagram posts.
So we love and appreciate everything she does.
Yeah.
I can feel that pain. Like marketing is one of the most difficult tasks I've had to figure out as a small business owner. So I totally
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we really just kind of looked at each other and said, okay. And somehow we made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're four issues in, so and a fifth is on the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very close.
Yeah,
That's
crazy
awesome.
to believe.
Yes.
Crazy to believe.
Yeah.
Okay, the name. I want to know how you guys got the name.
We were like kind of just like spitballing a bunch of like different aesthetics at first. And then something that like I kind of latched onto was like the witch from Brave. Like I kind of imagine like her little hut, and then
we were really in sort of like a cozy mind space. We wanted to create something that felt safe and reflective.
I think we just had like a list of words that were related to like witchy small things, and we were like putting them together, and we finally arrived to Baubles and Bones, and we were like Baubles and Bones, Bones and Baubles, and then one of us just put like the word from in between it. We're like Baubles from Bones. And we're like, that's it.
Because we knew that we wanted stories that were deeply personal.
Yes.
And we cherish stories that come from the marrow of our bones that you have to tell, because if you don't get them out of your body, like you're gonna go crazy, or you know, you just need to share it. But we also didn't want to discount the small stories like that that are like the hair ties you lose in your couch, or like, you know, a Christmas ornament that you forget until you find it years later and it sparks something again. So we wanted to reflect something really deep, a part of ourselves, but also kind of insignificant that needs to be brought to light, and that we just wanted to give space to. So
and you hit it. You hit it 100%. Like just the connotation, like you were talking about, like a bauble, like it's something very small and insignificant, but it has so much meaning in its own way, because it's like that memory of a really specific moment or thing or event. And then just the idea of like coming from a bone, like from something else that you left behind, and now you've made it into something new. And like it's beautiful. My little English teacher heart says brilliant. A+.
That makes us so happy.
Yeah.
A+. I love it. All right, so how many submissions do you guys get on average, like for each issue?
We have been averaging about 450 submissions. And we open our submissions about twice a year.
For like 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks, full month. And then we try our hardest to get through those submissions the following month. It's a hard process because there's only 3 of us, and we all have separate day jobs. But yeah, if we've honestly, it's overwhelming, but we love how many submissions we get, and we feel really lucky to get them.
That is so many.
Yeah, the first submission period, we were really thrilled because we thought that we were gonna have to like wrangle people to submit to us. We were coming up with these ideas of like, we're gonna have to try to canvas, like send emails to like English professors, like go to Pitt in Point Park and like put up flyers. And no, we put it out there. It ended up getting like a listing on Zillow and like Submission Grinder, and they just showed up. Like we really didn't have to do like any marketing or anything.
Any hard digging. And we've been really fortunate too that a lot of people that submitted to us before keep coming back, and we love that so much. So we've been really fortunate.
I'm just trying to think of like getting through that many submissions like in the following month. As a teacher, I have about 90 ninth grade students right now. So like I get 90 essays and I have to get through those in 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's not just a selection saying like, oh, this one's good and this one, I don't think this one's it. Like I'm doing like feedback on all of those. So kudos to you. Kudos.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're still approaching each submission period, trying to find out how we can better it and be more efficient and dedicate more time
We have some friends that have volunteered to help us that like we have people that like are in the same book club as us or that have purchased all of the zines so far and they're like, we like your stories. Is there any way we can help you? And we're like, do you want to read some of these submissions?
Yeah, those slush piles, they can be rough. So
yeah.
Yeah, and they're people we trust and we know. Yeah, we're still working on it, but it is fun. We do enjoy it too.
Oh yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do that much work if you didn't enjoy it. For sure. For sure. So what does your selection process look like? And do you look for stories like for an issue that all kind of have a common theme, or just go like this vibes with something that I want and we're going to use it? Like how do you decide?
Themes.
We start with the like this vibes with us. That's that's the baseline. And once we decide that we all kind of vibe with the story and we're going through like the second round, that's when we're like, okay, this story is like kind of romantic and this story is kind of romantic and this one's kind of not romantic, but it's approaching the same things as these other stories. Maybe these fit together.
We have our initial read that we'll do, that we editors do, and then our slush readers do with us. And that's our preliminary. And once we decide, we literally have categories, yeses, maybes, and rejections. And once we get through those, we then go into our next round of, we just call them critiques, where we approach the stories that we passed along, and then we all have to read each other's nominations. And then once we find the stories that we all agree on and that we're all passionate about, then that's where we get to like, okay, these are our big guys. How do we make them fit? And it's like, sometimes we call it our cutting block meeting. Because it's like the worst.
That's got to be so tough because you're going to have really good stories that just don't quite fit. And so you might have to pass on it. Yeah.
It is so painful. I cannot explain it in enough words of how hard that meeting is.
Yeah.
Because we're still little. We don't have the weight yet to publish all of them as much as we want to.
Would you ever do like an Island of Misfit Stories kind of a zine? Like just like once a year, be like, these are the ones that we love that don't fit.
That's actually a really great idea. I don't think we've considered doing something like that before, but that is a good idea.
Because we definitely have had those before where we're like, we like this story, but it's like so dark and all these other stories that we're publishing aren't that dark. Like this isn't going to stick out like a sore thumb. And like those ones are like a real pain to pass on. We luckily haven't had too many of them. It's only been like a handful, but
we've had success so far building the theme after we have our set of stories come together. We do worry, but again, it still is working. So that's kind of the way we like to do it. Because we've talked about theming our submissions and asking for specific stories. And we kind of just haven't gotten into that because we like the variety that we get. It might be a struggle for us to throw something together and like build that story. But we get so many great things from so many different perspectives. So it still works for us.
And it also feels like with not putting a specific theme on the submission period, having a specific theme could possibly like narrow it too much to where we feel like we have really good quality stories that we're putting out, but if we're pigeonholing people into something specific, it might not come out to the degree that we're looking for.
Yeah, I feel like you would still get really good stories, but then you're also going to get people that are writing specifically for that and not writing because it's the story, like you said, that's like in your heart and in your soul that needs to be told.
And like to look at it from the business side of things, the like money, how much we pay for it also would factor into it. It's like if someone like we're small, we only pay 1 cent per word. And like how worth it would that be to writers to take a chance to like write a story for us,
Right.
where then you not get a very big payday versus like we're friends with another small press in Pittsburgh, Aaron Nothingness, that does anthologies, and they get really great stuff, but they also pay 6 to 8 cents a word. So like that's something that if someone writes a story and that takes that chance, like that's a pretty good payout for them if they end up taking it. It's like that's a worthy gamble.
Yeah.
And that's also a part of our like chopping block process is like some of the stories we aren't able to fit everything because of either like just like time constraints. We feel like with the stories for editing, even though they're really good stories, we feel like a certain amount of stories might have like a lot to edit and there's just 3 of us, or we can't fit like 8,000 word stories in there.
As
like,
much as we would love to have a 200-page issue,
Yeah.
it's just like not feasible for us right now.
Yeah. Someday.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah.
Future plans. I love it. I love the future plans. No, this is fascinating. I love everything that I'm hearing. All right, so congratulations. You have recently published your 4th issue, which is absolutely great. Your 5th one is due out when?
End of May.
Yes.
Last week of
Okay.
May.
So in 29 days, are there 30 days in May?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I have to do the little rhyme, like 30 days, half. Anyways, so what has what? So that's awesome. What I want to know, because this is your first year, you have completed like a whole year of doing this. I want to know your high, your low, and your buffalo over the past year. So if you haven't played this game before, the first 2 are pretty self-explanatory. You give me your high and your low points of creating baubles from bones. Your buffalo is the thing that was most surprising or unexpected. So give them to me.
Who wants to start?
I'll do a Buffalo one. Going to Confluence and having people know who we are.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
so Confluence is like a small local sci-fi fantasy publishing event in Pittsburgh that Parsec puts on. They're like another small publisher in Pittsburgh that we're like friends with. And yeah, whenever we first started, we hadn't published a zine yet. We showed up because they were like, "Hey, you guys should come." Like we were watching your stuff. We like had a chat with a couple of the editors there. And then yeah, we showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one issue out at that point, but we had literally just done it the month before, and there's people being like, "Oh, you're Baubles from Bones. I recognize you," or "I submitted to you," and it's like, you know who we are.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
That was really wild because I remember we looked at each other and we were like, people know us.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
That might honestly be both Buffalo and High Point for me, just because it was so nuts.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That is really cool.
I would say a low to be realistic, because if there's someone out there looking to start their own publication or getting into this, we got to be a little bit realistic. Because as much as we love Baubles, it is a ton of work. There's always a period. There's a period in the submission process that gets really hard because we are human. We do burn out. So that is something that we're still working on and still trying to get better with, and figuring out how to handle that, how to handle burnout. But before we actually send the issue to the printer, it is a time. Like, it is also another moment that can get really heavy to navigate, just because things need to be done. We've got to get the artwork done. Everything needs to be formatted. It needs to be, our deadlines for that are stone. We do not move them. We have to meet them. And we've done a good job with it so far. We haven't pushed any deadlines back.
The one deadline we pushed was just the release date of issue 3, and that was because it was coming out late November, early December, and the printer was like, with the holidays and stuff, we don't think we can get it to you in time. We're like, okay, we push it for a week. And then they ended up getting it to us earlier than they expected. And we're like, well, I guess we just sit on it for a week now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just to be a little bit realistic and put that out there, like it's a wonderful thing and I love every second of this project, but it has its times and it's normal for a project like this to have its times where
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like all of the art inside of the zine is done by myself and Elise. And Elise especially does like the big portraits that take up a whole page. And you're pumping out like 3 of those an issue and all of those like small motifs. It's a lot of art to make in a very short amount of time for someone that has a full-time job.
When it's not your full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so true of like so many people who are in a creative field of all sorts, but especially writing. Writing is not what makes us money.
No.
It's always like I do this and then I'm hoping maybe I can like break even by sharing this or doing this. So yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that too.
But one high that sticks out to me every time is the first time we open the box and see the new issue and everything else just goes away because it's that feeling of seeing it all come together and then flipping through the books and seeing the stories and just remembering all of the hours and all the edits and like reading the stories for the first time and seeing it actually in a book and I get so giddy and I love it.
And also, especially at that point, we've been working with the authors for like a month or two.
Yeah.
So not only is it like, oh man, we've done this, it's like, like this writer that we worked with, like this is their writing too. Like there's like a personal connection with it there that feels really nice.
Yeah. That actually also might be another Buffalo for me, is the experience of getting to work with these authors and the connections we have made with them. Because there are quite a handful that we've gotten fairly close to and
I feel
comfortable with and like it's a different type of community that I didn't necessarily expect.
And I don't think a lot of the authors expect either, because based on emailing them, a lot of them will tell us like, we're not used to getting like feedback on our manuscripts. We're not used to having the editors like actually communicate with us a whole lot. And it's like that side of it's like kind of sad because it's like you want to be communicative, you want to talk to them, but like it's also really nice that it seems like we're doing something right with them, that they all seem like pretty excited to work with us.
Yeah. We have gotten to work with some wonderful authors and any chance I get to say that, and I hope they see it somehow, because we're grateful for them so much.
Oh, that's so cool. Like I love all of that. I love you have like you've got like a pair of buffaloes, you got some highs. This is fantastic.
I do want to say my high is getting nominated for Riesling Awards.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this? Tell me. Educate me.
The Rieslings are the poetry awards for sci-fi fantasy poetry. And it's like from like the Sci-Fi Poetry Writers Association. So it's like proper award. There's 100 nominees for the like short poem category. And we had 3 of them this year. And that was like mind-blowing for us because we've been like kind of head down, just make sure we get the thing published.
Yeah.
We want to worry about like nominating authors, but that's kind of like after we figure out the workflow for all of this.
We need to survive our first year.
Yeah.
Right.
And getting emails from the chair of the award saying, hey, we really like this poem. We want to nominate it. Can we have like more info? Was like, holy cow. This is crazy. And then we got another one. And then another.
That's awesome.
It was like mind blowing. We're like, wow, we're like, these poems are really resonating with people.
Yeah, I agree. That is very good, Buffalo.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I think that is, and I think that it really does just speak to your work ethic, your commitment to uplifting those voices, and really like your entire process sounds so well thought out. Like, and I know it's still developing, but it's working. So you're doing something really good. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're glad it's working
Yeah.
the way that it's working, for us and our authors. So
Yeah, no, this is awesome. So, with all of that being said, now that we have a little insight into how hard you work and all the things that you're taking on, how do you keep up with your everyday lives at work, and everything that goes into publishing the Z? Lots of coffee, like what do you do?
we don't.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent.
It's a real labor of love. Um, it's a lot of just like tired nights. We do a meeting once a week to check in.
That does not change. We have not missed. The day has changed.
Wow.
We've had to shift it to a Thursday,
Mhm.
but we've never missed. I think maybe like 1 or 2 meetings. We've
That's
not
impressive.
met
It's
because,
like 3 holidays or someone's on
Yeah.
vacation.
yeah, but we're very, we do stick to that.
Yeah.
It is
Mhm.
gospel.
Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, it does get a bit draining, especially when we're in like submission mode where we need to be reading
Mhm.
5, 10, 15 submissions a day.
Mhm.
Once we get into like the edits. Yeah.
40.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the juggling of day job and the zine is kind of still something that we're all figuring out.
Mhm.
We're all still like trying to see what works best for us. Depending on like how much our workload changes, like for like transparency is like I still work at a grocery store. This week has just been very busy because of like work things.
Yeah.
The power has been out in Pittsburgh this week, and
Yeah.
that's been like a thing for me to worry about.
I
At
think we're getting
least-
more storms tonight too, so be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not supposed to be as bad. It's supposed to, sorry, we have to be Yinzers. It's
That's
supposed
okay.
to go over the city. We're still gonna get some rain, but
Yeah.
not.
I think
really.
because I'm north of you guys by about an hour and a half, depending on like where in Pittsburgh you are. So it's been dark all day outside, and I think we're supposed to be getting the really nasty ones today. So thanks.
Yeah.
There. We support. We're here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that little aside, I would say one thing that helps us a lot is that we are friends.
Mm.
And like I've known Shane for the least amount of time, but at this point it's like what, 3 years?
3 years.
And Caroline and I have been friends for like 6,
Mhm.
7?
7 years, and like 5 years of that was being roommates.
5 years of that was living together, and then Joel and I have pretty much, I mean, from living together for 3 years. So we all have years together. That we're really lucky that we were able to make a transition from friends to business partners and
Mhm.
coworkers.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't always go well. But so far it's been working for us, and it helps us communicate. Like if someone's super busy, we talk about it.
Mhm.
And that just means someone else might have to pick up a little bit more work. Or at least we have the understanding of, hey, she's not keeping up with the emails like she usually does. It's because she has 2 events back to back at work. And unfortunately, it's one of those times where the day job has to take priority.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. God, would we love if this little zine could carry us, but it doesn't yet, and that's okay. But no, it's we all have different boundaries with our jobs. I think we found a pretty steady schedule to make it work.
Mhm.
We're still finding better ways. It helps that we're friends and that we communicate with one another.
I really like that idea of being able to communicate and talk about it, which
Yeah.
I think sometimes gets difficult, especially with creative endeavors, because you're always like, ooh, what if I step on somebody's toes, or make them feel bad? But being able to have those conversations and being able to separate that business, like this is just a story and that's what we're talking about is the story, and what we're going to do with it has no reflection on like whether I actually like you or not, or we're friends, is a
Yeah.
really awesome thing. When you can find writing partners that you can do that with, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because it can be hard to find those people that you feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable with and share your opinion. And there are definitely times where we don't agree. I mean, there's a reason why our critiques are like hours long, because
Right.
someone's attached to one story that they absolutely love and maybe someone else doesn't. So like those things absolutely happen, but at the end of the day, it doesn't keep us from coming back together to get the next issue together and tell the next story and share the next poem. Because that's what's always important. So it's just sharing these stories.
That's beautiful.
And having fun. We do have a lot of fun. We keep it casual too. We are a casual office in this apartment.
You have like bring your pet to work Fridays or Taco Tuesdays or
what? Joel is a phenomenal cook. Joel will cook for us for meetings, or we'll go out, and we do keep it fun. So.
Are you hiring because
unpaid? Volunteers. But
on the casual thing, like from the beginning, we've always wanted to like have it be like we had started this in a living room.
Yeah.
We want to keep that vibe of just running this out of a living room right now.
Yeah.
If we can one day move into an office, cool.
Yeah.
But like, as far as we can see it, we're always just going to kind of be scrappy.
As long as you decorate it like a living room, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. It just comes back to the stories. So, and just doing the thing.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So it always comes back to the stories. So what suggestions would you have for writers who are looking to submit to you during your next submission period? And when will that be?
Okay. To start, I think the easiest thing is to look at the submission guidelines.
Okay.
There's probably somewhere around like 10% of submissions that we get every time that will be like someone just sends us something that isn't a story. They'll send us like an outline.
Yeah.
Someone will send us an essay about biomedicine.
There's always the kids who don't follow directions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like someone will send us a 12,000 word story that we're like, we don't take stories that long.
Yeah.
And there's just like a big part that's like, yeah, just make sure you read the submission guidelines. Make sure you know that you are submitting the right thing to us.
And it's not like, because we do get a lot of stories that are just way over our page limit. And it's not, I want to make it clear, it's not that we don't want to read them. It's that we can't. We do not have the resources. We do not have the time to publish it. Exactly. Because keep coming to the word bandwidth, but that's not the right word. For our page count, for our relative, like what? 140 pages, we can't publish something that is 40 of those pages, because then that's taking away pages. It gets really, really hard. And we'd love to expand that someday. But we really do. We make our guidelines for a reason, and it doesn't always help when those guidelines aren't respected.
We started out at like 10,000 words on our first submission period, and we realized that it's too long for like what we're capable of.
Yeah, because we got a lot of submissions that were in that upper limit, and it's like, cool, like that's great. We love stories that have that amount of time to develop, but like we were realizing
it's a third of it.
Yeah, it's like a third of the entire zine, and that once we were getting into it was like, are any of these good enough to take up 1/3 of the entire book? And it's like, I don't think we picked any that were up there. Even now, it's still like, if something is up towards like 8,000 words, it has to be like really good. So I think that is also a piece of advice is big word counts. It's got to be polished. It's got to be tight. It has to demand that page count. Because otherwise, it's like we could publish that one really long story, or we could publish 2 shorter stories that maybe aren't as super tight, but they're shorter. We can fit them and move them around,
right? And get more authors in there. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And on top of that too, I liked what you said about it needs to be polished, because it's not that we don't want them, but then thinking of if there are genuine edits that need to be made, that is a lot more to process.
Yes.
And we are still only 3. And
we have pretty quick turnaround from we send the acceptance email and then we follow up within a week saying, all right, now we're going to start editing it. We're going to have the edits to you in 2 weeks. And that's for all of the authors for that entire issue. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In some of those stories, like we have to go, like some stories we don't have to really touch, and that's great. But some of the stories, like we really have to like go back and forth with the authors, with which we enjoy, but we have to balance that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the editorial process can be intense, so that totally makes sense.
Yeah. On a lighter note about our submissions, thematically, I mean, we are so open to whatever anyone wants to send us. Again, like we will piece it together in a story that fits. I think my biggest thing is I don't want anyone to be intimidated to submit to us. Like we'll give anything a shot.
Yeah.
If
No, that's
you
awesome.
feel your story and are close to it, we will take it. And I don't even like saying take it, but like we'd love to see it and love to give it a chance.
We love the like quiet, small, introspective stories. That's like really our bread and butter. This like first year people have figured that out about us. I mean, that's like it comes with the name, but like we also still like big fantasy pieces. One of our favorite stories we published this year was a big fantasy epic, kind of like in its own way, puzzle vault.
Absolutely.
And like we
it's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
So a testament too to like you don't need pages after page, like you don't need 50 pages to be in fantasy or sci-fi. You can convey the right message and convey the right world. That story, I get excited every time. We're also pretty, I feel like, we do like our formatting guidelines. But we've had some stories that have challenged conventional formats. Like one of our stories is an epistolary. And one of our absolutely favorite stories because the message that it conveys and how it works with the format and just the melding of it is so good. That is one I will always talk about because it's very, very different. It's not a traditional point A to point B narrative. It messes with you, but in such a great way. So again, like
it's fun when you have things that maybe seem like they shouldn't necessarily work together, and then they do, and it does. It just comes together, and you're like, I'm blown away by this.
Like it's hard, especially with us like not having a theme to say like this is what we want, because most of the time it genuinely is just like something shows up and we go, wow, that's great. Like I would have never asked someone to write this. But it has arrived here and I'm so happy that it has. Like it's those like small surprises that are the best part.
Just leaving people to their own creativity is like the biggest blessing that we can have as editors, honestly.
No, I think that's really cool. So because I feel like as I'm getting a little bit more like obviously from talking to you guys, and there's somebody in my writing group that we're talking about different zines that they can submit to in different like small presses and things like that. And everything kind of has like a very strict theming to it, which is interesting. And they're trying to cater to their audience that they've built. So I just really love the fact that you guys are just like, send it to us because we might love it and let's see what happens. That's so cool.
Yeah. And again, it seems to have worked. Like I like what you bring up about there definitely is a strategy to cater to an audience that you've built. I think one of the perks of having kind of a bam breaking out our first year is we don't have an audience like we do now, and it's one like we have people who keep coming back and who come up to us at conventions that have been reading our zines, and that's wonderful. We love all of them and cherish them. But we also are still building that audience, and it seems like they're just as free roaming as us, which is wonderful. It's a gamble, and we understand that, but again, I think it just always comes back to these are the stories that we really feel need to be shared.
Yeah.
And that's what's most important. So,
and that could be a part of why it's grown so well, is just like there was a need for those stories. There was a need for something that was a little bit more feral and just a little bit more like what's going to happen, instead of strictly themed, and you guys have filled that area, so yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah, just run with it. It's yours.
No, that's nice. Also, our submissions reopen July 2nd, Wednesday, July 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't formally announced it anywhere, but
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna be.
That's what it's slated for. Very unlikely to change, because we will need new stories at that point.
Yeah.
So, something else about our submission period that we're really lucky, that we've been wonderfully lucky about, is that with each one we've been able to build 2 issues. So as long as it just, that has worked out really nicely for us too.
Well, it sounds like you get like such a nice pool of submissions too. I mean, that's a lot to be able to pull from. So yeah. All right. Do you have kind of like as a follow-up to all of that fantastic information, do you have any just basic suggestions for vetting different zines that might be asking for submissions? Are there any red flags that writers should be aware of? Or I don't know if any of you have like tried to query traditional novels or not. That's a great thing that is also fun to talk about. But they have Writers Beware, which is this info on all the agents and agencies and editors that you should like stay away from. And it lists out like, I'm going to say all of their crimes, all of their offenses, and like why they're not great people. Do you have something like that, but for the world of the zine?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I have the most experience out of the 2 of you of like looking around markets. And I think generally what I find is just how active they are. Because you have big ones that like say like the big like magazine publishers that are going to release every month, every 2 weeks, every 6 months, whatever. And then you have smaller ones that are kind of more in our camp of like that semi-pro or like just very, very underground sort of thing, where they aren't very clear about whenever anything is published, if anything has been published in the last 6 months, and if they're going to publish anything in the next 6 months. Like those are the only ones that like I would be wary about, because communication. I have a story that has been with a publisher for 5 years now, and every time I talk to him about it, he's like, "Yeah, it'll come out in 6 months," and he's said that for like 4 years.
There's been a lot of 6 months.
I remember him talking about that when we started the zine.
Yeah, I have a friend who sold a project like during the pandemic in like 2020, and it's still not out in the world, and they don't know what's happening with it. Like nobody knows. Like they got paid, but who knows when it will ever actually exist.
Yeah, I would agree with to kind of go off that a little bit, because I don't have traditional like query experience. I'm working on a manuscript, but not even near like that yet. But I think what Joel said about communication is also really evident in the responses we've gotten from our authors. Because Shane, you might have also alluded to this as well earlier, but so many authors, by the time that we have paid them and finished the issue, have responded to us and said, "Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your communication." And that's something that we're always trying to get even better with, and to be more consistent. But it seems like that's just not a thing for a lot of publications.
It is not.
Yeah, and that doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
we've
a
had a
whole
lot of,
nother interview that we could do
yeah,
into like the
yeah,
lack of
yeah.
transparency. Yeah.
But I think for anyone who's querying or submitting their work, just finding the most transparent, updated, frequent, good communication. Yeah, it's hard. It's muddy everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I think even with like those tips in mind, you could still look at Baubles from Bones and like how much we put out and be like, they seem like I'll take a chance on them. Like maybe not expecting the most communicative thing, but then once you get in contact with us and accept your story, we're pretty on top of our game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it can still be kind of hard to feel that out, and being on like our side of it, knowing how hard it is to juggle all of our emails and also like our public facing side of things, it is just like it's a lot going on at once. And I can definitely feel for those other projects that start out with big goals and just like can't keep up with them because it's a lot of work. It maybe doesn't feel like it whenever you're just like, "Oh, I want to put these stories out there. I want to make a book," but like getting into it and wrangling all the authors and then getting it online and regularly updating everything is
it is a lot to juggle.
Yeah.
It is a lot, but I also will say it's very important. Yeah, for that person who is thinking about getting into this. Because it has made the difference with our authors. To have that trust with them.
Yes.
And even newer authors with us that are like, and where we kind of have to be like, no, it's okay. Let's one step at a time together. We're with you. We're not here to hurt you or your story, which is a totally understandable.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. Yeah.
Fear. Yes, we as writers and artists, we see both sides.
Yeah, because we always try to be as clear with them of like we are working with you, not against you.
Yeah.
It's for someone again who wants to do this, who wants to work and do anything like this. It is important because it does make the difference. I feel like sometimes it's easy to think, oh, like I'm just gonna do it this way because the deadline's approaching or yada yada yada, or oh, they probably know that. No, they don't. Outline everything, give them dates, own up to dates. It works. And again, for anyone who is
I feel like really kind of like what you're saying is like you can't cut any corners. Like everything, you just have to take the time to do it right, which is fair. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah. Do not cut corners. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are no corners to be cut here. Which okay, so I feel like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, not to get any type of way, but look at how many corners are being cut elsewhere. You know, when we find people and publications and things that don't, how refreshing it is, you know. So I feel like it's an interpersonal leg up that just helps build trust, and all of that amounts to a lot in the end. So
yeah, 100%. I think that does make a huge difference. And that kind of like I feel like you've already answered my next question, which was, do you have any advice for any viewers who might be interested in starting their own zines? And I think you guys have just kind of summed that up, like transparency, doing the right thing, taking the time to do it right, and making those human connections.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, I would, as a general thing, I would like big tip is to just keep in mind the scope of whatever project you want to put out. Because whenever we were like outlining how the zine was going to work initially, we're like, okay, how often do we want to publish? How often do we want to open up for submissions? And like easy normal intervals are like monthly, bi-monthly, every 6 months. Like how do we fit into that? And like quarterly feels like it's been the sweet spot for us. Of like we get to put out a few of these a year and we're not super overworked by the end of it. We probably, I don't think we could do any more than this.
We could
not. No.
And if we were doing less than it, I think that we would be getting kind of, I don't know if bored would be the right word, but like
burnt out maybe a little
like we
bit.
could do more.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy, like, since we have three of us, to like be able to manage this and like cut up every issue into three parts for like the editorial work.
And then have Caroline handle everything else that she handles so that we don't have to worry about it. I mean, she frees us up so much.
Yeah.
And that is an insane help.
Yeah, and like just not overreaching too much with what we're trying to do really keeps us sane. And I think if we had tried to do any more, I don't know that we would have made it a full year.
I don't think we would have.
No, we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
We would have made it through like 2 issues and we would have burnt out immediately.
Yeah. So like I think that a big
pacing
thing.
yourself.
Yeah.
It's a good way. Because of course we'd like to grow. And there are other things we'd like to do. I mean, we have ideas slated. But it's again waiting for that right time and with the right people and it's okay to be patient.
Yeah.
And always falls back to like budget, manpower, and like what your means are at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of practicality that has to go into that.
Yeah.
A big thing for us too is whenever we were coming up with what we wanted to do was we all agreed immediately, we have to make this a print zine. We can't just put it on our site.
Yeah.
And I think that is great because if we put it on our site, I don't think we would be making enough money to make the next issue. I think we would have made those first 2 and just busted. It doubles the cost of the zine every issue because there are printing costs and like shipping and like all of the things that go into that, even that you don't think about whenever you make a store, that you have to be able to send the thing to people, you have to buy the packaging, you have to get the stuff to put in it,
right?
All of that. But it ends up paying off for us, and we've been breaking even every single issue and being able to make the next one because we have a physical zine for us to sell.
The value in going up to people and saying, hey, look at this thing.
Yeah.
Every person, I mean, when we were, might be another Buffalo or another high, but with our first issue, every single person who saw the book was like, what? You made a book?
Yeah, like
and the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, but like we would be telling them about it, and we're like, yeah, we're going to be publishing these things. We have a website, I have it physically, and they'd be like, okay, all right. And then as soon as we show them the physical zine, they go, whoa, I know what this is. This is a collection of, I've seen these in bookstores. Like, yes, like now you get it.
It clicks. As much as we live in a digital world, there's still a place for print media.
Oh yeah,
it is still important, and it has worked out really, really well for us.
And just on like the business marketing end of it, like having the physical editions, we've been able to make like really nice connections with a couple local bookstores, a couple like, other local small shops that like sell our zine.
Yeah.
It's getting us out there more. So like consider doing physical for making connections and being able to grow within your community.
Because also some of these places were not bookstores that were on our radar before this. That like we reached out to local bookstores and just sent them emails like, hey, we're a new local publication. Do you want to carry your thing? But it's a local bookstore. They get dozens of those emails a day. It's like, and so basically none of them ended up following up with us, which like is totally fair because I understand. But the slush that we get sometimes. But then the ones that actually reached out to us that found us on like Instagram, were like, hey, you're doing something cool. Could we sell it? And that's been great. Yeah. Just to know that other people see us and are interested and want to carry our zine. And now that we know that they exist and we're able to be like, hey, these guys are cool. They like what we're doing. You'll probably also like what they're doing. And you just keep growing those partnerships. Plus, I think a lot of people do get really excited when they see a local publication or a local author. I've got, my local used bookstore here, Pop Art Books, that I love going to. And he's starting to carry some more local authors. And like, I bought one and it was fun. I was like, oh my gosh, this person lives in the same town as me and I'm reading their book. And that to me, I love that.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things too that we all love this city.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to sometimes and as whatever it is, but something that we believed in when we started was that Pittsburgh was a good place to start something like this. And I do
Yes.
think it has worked out.
Mhm.
Because one of my recommendations would be go outside, embarrass yourself, and talk to people and tell them
Yeah.
about what you're doing. And even if you get turned down, or even if you're at a convention, um, and you might not exactly fit at that convention, and people kind of don't understand what you're doing or what you're talking about or what you made, but just talking to them and roping them in. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to talk to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk to the thrift store. I mean, our books are being sold at a thrift store a couple blocks down
That's
the
so
street
cool.
from us. People never would have thought, but
Yeah.
And they're selling there too.
and they
Yeah.
are selling.
Yeah.
So, and they've been wonderful partners, like
Mhm.
great people to get to know in the community. Starting a business like this, starting a publication is a communal spark. So
Mm.
use it. Get out there, make a new community, find other publishers. Don't be afraid to get lunch with them or coffee with them to talk about what each other is doing. We have a wonderful relationship with Parsec and the team over there, because they were brave enough to ask us out whenever we were brand new,
Mhm.
to grab dinner. And
now we're going to be tabling an event with them that is
Oh,
like
cool.
talking conventions. It's like someplace like we met at the Youngstown Lit Fest.
Mm.
Someplace small like that is easy to get into as like a small business, but we're getting into the Three Rivers Comic Con soon, and
Oh my
that
God, that's amazing. That is,
yeah, and that's like
yeah.
a big event, and that table cost is way bigger than what we could afford on our own. But
Yeah.
since we're friends with this other publication, they were like, "Hey, do you guys want to split a table with us?"
yeah,
And that's really exciting. Like
That's
the
so
new
cool.
ones are really excited to be able to go to such a big event and hopefully get in front of more people.
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so talk to people. It's okay. It's okay to look a little silly. I look silly all the time. Go be silly. We are all, it's fine. Like that's my biggest advice. Just go do the
Just go
thing.
do it. Do the
Our
thing.
first con was at a like cryptid Bigfoot convention, and like our zine did not like really fit there at all, but we were just like selling.
But yeah, whenever people came around and the few people it connected with, it really connected with them, and they would buy one or two copies of it every time, and they'd be like, "Wow, this is really cool."
Yeah.
And we also met a lot of wonderful businesses that then
Yeah.
gave us tips on how to better our table and presentation.
Mhm.
And that then they got interested in our project,
Mhm.
even though they were jewelers and,
Yeah.
hunters.
Yeah.
And like, it was still wonderful. So you don't know what you're getting into, but gosh, some of the best things can come out of those
Definitely.
situations where you're like, I don't belong here. Well, no, you actually really do.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like we talked about marketing a little bit earlier, online marketing is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is, you are just shouting into the void
Yeah.
and hoping that someone somewhere will hear your echo.
Yeah.
But whenever you're able to get into a physical space with people, it's so much easier. It's like so much more
It really
rewarding,
is.
Because you look at an Instagram post and you're like, oh, only 45 people liked this reel. That stinks. That's some
Yeah.
pretty bad engagement. But you go to a convention and 45 people walk up and talk to you and you go, holy crap.
Yeah.
45 people talk to me about my things.
Real
And,
live
like,
people. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like just having that change of perspective is really nice. And it's like helps your soul a lot more to actually see the
Yeah.
people you're interacting
Yeah.
with.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, I love how you guys have built your own like community and gotten out there and made those connections. And that's just it's so important for everything, no matter what you're doing. So yeah, you guys are so much fun. Okay. But we have also reached the point in the interview where I ask you my lightning round questions. So you can choose to each provide an answer, or if you want to nominate somebody, like whatever you want to do. But I want you to answer with as little thought as possible, just the first thing that pops into your mind. Okay. So, question one. If you could have a cryptid for a pet, what would you invite into your home?
Wonk.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonk.
Yeah.
A Squonk.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think we're just collectively squonk.
Joel is a big Squonk fan.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what swamp is, so can you
The
elaborate?
the
Native to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's a Pennsylvania cryptid. It's basically just like a really big, ugly pig that is so ugly that all it does is cry. That like it's really
Yeah.
sad, but like in a kind of cute, whimsical way.
All
That's
right.
like
Big and wrinkly and
yeah.
yeah.
We actually at one of the conventions connected with a local artist that makes a bunch of cryptid art, and he gave me a squonk pin that just says there's a little bit of squonk in all of us.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'm Googling this when we're done. I need to educate. Like I'm a native Pennsylvanian. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. If you were going to set a world record, what would it be in?
Most naps in a year.
Nice.
That's mine. I'm a big nap
I
person.
went to hot dog eating. I don't know why.
My kind of feels there. I don't know, holding your breath until you pass out. I don't
Aren't
know.
we just a great bunch
Yeah.
of dogs naps and passing out?
Well, kind of honestly, all of that sounds good though. So I don't know if I'm just old or like thumbs up here. Um, all right. Can you name a book that has changed your life?
Yeah, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong.
Yeah.
That's one I go back to all the time, every time. Love that book. He's coming out with his next book very shortly. I love
Brilliant
him.
writer.
He's a
Brilliant.
phenomenal writer. That's mine.
Mine would be The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. It's a weird Vietnam surreal kind of memoir, kind of fiction book,
Mhm.
but it was a book that my creative writing professor when I was at community college had me read one story from, and then I just was like, I need to read the rest of the book, and
Rest
I've
of
read
it.
that book like 3 times now, and I just think about it every time that I'm writing.
That's
It's a weird
beautiful.
one, but
I
it's
feel like
good.
I've heard of that one. I haven't read that one, but I've heard of it.
Uh, Fellowship of the Ring. I think I owe everything to Tolkien. All of like whether it's D&D and like half of the fantasy series that I enjoy, uh, everything derives from him and like his prose and everything
Mm.
as a writer. Just like I wouldn't be here without like reading Tolkien as like a 10-year-old and getting lost within Hobbiton and
Yeah.
hearing Tom Bombadil
Oh my gosh,
sing.
I was so sad he wasn't in the movies.
I
I am one of those
know.
fans. I'm like, what are you doing, Peter Jackson? How dare? Um,
Yeah.
It's good that one of us had a fantasy.
Pardon?
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, why didn't I say Dune?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dune's definitely. Oh my God, we have so
Yeah.
many actually.
Yeah.
yeah, like I just feel like when I try to narrow it down, I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
actually,
it's more impossible than it
yeah,
is possible,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
if
I
you
just
really
started
keep
to reread
going.
this morning of Bambi by Felix Salten,
Mm.
um, which is nothing at all, of course, like the Disney movie. It's not. It's beautiful. It's very sad and heartbreaking, and it's beautiful. But I used to read that as a kid, and I read it like once a year, starting in third grade until I think maybe ninth grade. And then I lost it, and now I just got myself a new copy, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to read you again, and it's just bringing me a lot of joy.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Wonderful.
awesome.
That was what Harry Potter was for me for a few years,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, that one, that hasn't aged well,
no,
No.
no.
to put it mildly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so last lightning round question. You have just won a lifetime supply of your favorite snack. What is it? Hypothetically, you have hypothetically just won because I'm not actually giving you anything. Sorry.
Cheez-Its.
Jesus. The regular ones or like a specific flavor?
No, the extra toasty.
Okay. You got to specify.
I've eaten them my entire life. They are, I love them. I snack
They're
on everything,
perfect.
but I love Cheez-Its.
I'm bad because I fluctuate between snacks so much. I don't know if I have much of a favorite. My mind just went to hummus, but I don't know if that counts as a snack.
Yeah. I mean, you're just gonna like eat it by the spoonful.
Yeah. I probably not. I like it with some pita, some
Hummus and
Some
pita.
pong,
You can do like a combo because that works.
Okay.
I'll allow it since I'm making up the rules.
Yeah.
I would have to go the mini Kit Kats that you can get in the bag that are like bite size. A couple of weeks ago, I bought 3 bags and ate all 3 within a week.
When you snack though, you snack hard.
I do. I don't snack like every day, but if there's a day that I snack, I eat a whole thing of that snack.
You might need an intervention. That's a lot of Kit Kats.
I love them, and I haven't bought any for the past month because of it. So
I do support all of these choices, though. Excellent choices. Excellent choices.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are a snacky bunch.
Well, all right. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. This has been an absolute blast getting to chat with you. You can find links to Baubles from Bones webpage down below in the links. So you can check out to read and buy their zines. Carolyn, Joel, Elise, and Shane, thank you so much for chatting with the Scribblers Den. And I can't wait to see more from you guys. And I hope that I run into you at more events as we go through this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. It was wonderful to talk with you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Super cool. All right. So Scribblers, hey Carolyn. Scribblers, you know the drill. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
bye.